Hello and welcome. The City of Los Angeles and LA Sanitation and Environment, or LASAN, are happy that you've joined us for our scoping presentation on our program Environmental Impact Report for the Comprehensive Plastics Reduction Program. You may also hear me refer to it as the Plastics Program. We're giving this presentation as part of our work under the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, and we want to explain the program and receive your comments on it. My name is Christine Batikian. I'm an environmental supervisor within LASAN, and I've been leading LASAN's efforts to conduct an environmental analysis following the CEQA guidelines for this proposed comprehensive plastics reduction program. For those of you that are interested in receiving this presentation in Spanish, we have a pre-recorded presentation that can be found at the website link found at the bottom of this slide. Para aquellos que estén interesados en recibir esta presentación en español, tenemos una presentación pregrabada que se puede encontrar en la página web que se encuentra en la sección de abajo de esta presentación. I'd like to give you an outline of our presentation. I'll first describe the purpose of the presentation and provide an overview of the plastics program. I will then describe for you the environmental analyses we are proposing to conduct in the CEQA process. I will also let you know the schedule, including times when we will be seeking your input. I'll then close by describing how you can provide comments on what you've heard today. We are very interested to hear any of your thoughts, but the two most useful to us are, first, those that pertain to what we have or have not included in the Comprehensive Plastics Reduction Program, and second, comments on our analytical process. Especially at this early stage of the program, your comments on both the program and the analysis are particularly helpful as we embark on our CEQA work. Let me tell you about this presentation and the Comprehensive Plastics Reduction Program. One very important part of the CEQA process is to provide opportunity for any interested person or organization to have input in the process. But first, you need to know what we are considering in the plastics program and how we are currently proposing to analyze potential environmental effects. That's what this presentation is all about. Now, we're ready to get into the proposed Comprehensive Plastics Reduction Program itself. First, I'll provide a brief overview of solid waste management within the City of Los Angeles. LA Sanitation and Environment provides solid resources collection services to the entire City of Los Angeles. LASAN services 750,000 households comprised of 530,000 single-family homes and 220,000 multifamily units, those ranging from duplexes to 4-unit buildings. The 6 recyclable service providers, which are franchised by the city, handle about 65,000 accounts for medium and large multifamily complexes, those larger than 4 units, condominiums, and commercial and industrial businesses. Here's a little bit more about LASAN. We are responsible for many environmental services, and in the case of the plastics program, we handle what you put in your bins. LASAN is central to making Los Angeles a zero-waste city by diverting materials away from our limited landfill capacity and instead directing them to recycling, reuse, or composting. We consider the solids you put in your bins as a solid resource. As a reminder, the blue bin is for recyclables, the green bin is for organics, including food, soil, paper products. The black bin, which we are trying to minimize, is for refuse. And you may have seen a brown bin, which is for horse manure. We also have several specialized solid resources services, including collection of bulky items, holiday trees, electronic waste, and household hazardous waste. Please do use these specialized services because they handle waste streams that can be toxic or so unwieldy that they are just littered. With LASAN's commitment to zero waste, we are taking further action to pursue opportunities to reduce the use of non-recyclable and non-reusable items and plastic waste in the city. Around the world and in Los Angeles, plastic waste is a real problem. For plastics, especially for single-use plastics that are essentially made to be thrown out, I do use the word waste and not the word resource. Let me tell you why. Well, because although theoretically you can recycle plastics, in practice, it is very difficult, energy intensive, and less than 10% of the world's plastic is actually recycled. As a result, it is frequently littered where millions of tons of plastic flow into rivers and streams to the ocean, where it accumulates and enters the ocean's food chains. There are over 6 billion metric tons of plastics in the environment, and that number is quickly rising. In 2020, UCLA's Luskin Center studied the plastics problem here at home in LA. In addition to being the primary source of land litter and runoff to the Pacific Ocean, in LA, the plastics litter affects tourism, recreation, and the aesthetics of our city. Plastics also have human health and ecological toxicity effects, both through directly entering our food and indirectly through their presence everywhere. The UCLA study also emphasized that in LA, most single-use plastics cannot be recycled. In part, this is because residual food on single-use plastic foodware like plates, forks, and spoons renders them unrecyclable. So, both from a global and local perspective, it is becoming increasingly clear to us all that we cannot continue on this path of plastics. Throughout the last decade, the city has demonstrated its commitment to zero waste by implementing various ordinances related to reducing plastic waste at its source. To date, the LA City Council has adopted the following 6 ordinances with measures to eliminate single-use plastic carryout bags at various stores and shops, to eliminate expanded polystyrene products, to provide plastic straws and single-use foodware accessories only upon customer request, and to transform all city facilities and sponsored events to zero waste. Now the city is considering a more comprehensive approach to the plastics problem. This more comprehensive approach, or the plastics program, is what we are talking about today. The plastics program would be implemented throughout the city, which is shown in the gray shading on this map. The city's proposed program can only be implemented and enforced within the city limits. The city needs to articulate a vision so that individual program elements can be enacted in a way that is mutually supportive and efficient. Without a vision, it's possible to get off track. With this proposed program, the city would like to create a comprehensive citywide strategy to reduce plastic waste and reduce the environmental and human health impacts of single-use plastics. The comprehensive plastics reduction program that we are considering consists of 2 major parts, upstream and downstream. This is illustrated in the drawing on the right. Upstream refers to measures focused on keeping plastics out of the city in the first place. Upstream measures focus on banning or restricting certain plastics, for example, our citywide ban on expanded polystyrene items that just went into effect for large establishments on April 23rd, or banning or restricting certain types of items, for example, our disposable foodware accessories on request ordinance, which focused on single-use plastic foodware accessories. Upstream measures encourage either the use of alternate materials or the use of more durable items that can be reused multiple times. An example of this was our ban on single-use plastic carryout bags, which led to the use of more durable cloth bags that can be reused multiple times. In contrast to upstream measures, the downstream measures shown on the bottom of the graphic focus on how the city manages the change from plastic materials to alternate materials. Downstream measures may include changes to how solids are collected from you, how materials may be effectively reused, recycled, or composted, and how those solid resources are handled from when you are done with them and place them in a bin, to LASAN's handling processes and locations. And for both upstream and downstream measures, communication with you is a key part to this program being successful and achieving its objectives. And the program includes further studies and further work which could identify other upstream or downstream measures. Please note that we may not be able to specify them all now, but we do want to be clear that the comprehensive plastics reduction program could continue to grow. So what exactly are we considering? What are the upstream restrictions and the potential changes to downstream handling? A number of upstream measures being considered to reduce or eliminate plastic waste are shown on this slide. Let me tell you about a couple. Textile policies. These include reducing disposal of textiles that can be reused or addressing the production of microplastics from repeated washing of clothes with a large amount of plastic in them. Or extended producer responsibility. This is an upstream approach that the state has adopted for some plastics-related legislation. It places a greater responsibility on producers of plastics for reducing the huge amount of plastic waste we are inundated with. Some downstream measures we are considering are shown on this slide. When you think about the upstream measures, there are consequences downstream. For example, with fewer single-use plastic bottles, not only does that mean a move towards reusable water bottles, but it also means a move to more bottle refilling stations. Also, with a change in types of material that LASAN collects, that means there will probably be a need for new or expanded solid resources handling facilities. These would address changes in the amounts of compostable, recyclable, and refuse material. In addition, with reduction or elimination of plastic foodware, you can expect to see more foodware and linen washing facilities. Okay, so that's the Comprehensive Plastics Reduction Program. We welcome your written comments on what I've presented, and you'll hear more on how to submit those comments near the end of the presentation. We are now going to turn to the other major topic, how LASAN proposes to analyze the potential environmental impacts of the program I just described. I will spend the next few minutes providing an overview of the CEQA process in general and for our analysis of the proposed program. The California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, is an environmental law adopted by the state legislature in 1970 for the protection of environmental resources. CEQA applies to all state and local agencies that have discretionary approval for a project or program. It requires agencies to evaluate the potential impacts of a proposed project or program to a wide spectrum of environmental resource areas. The agency presents their environmental analyses in a CEQA document, such as the Program Environmental Impact Report, or Program EIR, that will be prepared for this program and identifies feasible mitigation measures to reduce or avoid significant adverse impacts. An EIR is meant to inform the public and decision makers of any potential significant environmental impacts of a proposed project to ensure that those decision makers have considered the potential impacts of the project on the environment when improving a project and issuing permits. The CEQA process also involves the opportunity for public participation. The public participation for this program began with the Notice of Preparation, or NOP, issued on May 1st, announcing that the city will prepare a program EIR for the plastics program. The release of the NOP initiated a 30-day public scoping period during which the city is seeking comments from the public on the scope and content of the program EIR. A copy of the NOP is available at the website shown here. The program EIR will analyze the potential impacts of the Comprehensive Plastics Reduction Program on the 20 environmental resource areas shown on this slide, including air quality, biological resources, greenhouse gases, and water resources. The scoping period is meant to be your opportunity to let us know if there are any issues that you are concerned about that we should make sure to analyze in the program EIR. The list here are the broad resource categories that must be considered under CEQA, but we are looking for your feedback, studies, or data on any specific issues within these environmental resource areas that we need to address. In addition to the analysis of the potential impacts of the proposed program, the program EIR will also evaluate the potential impacts of alternatives to the proposed program. The one alternative that must be evaluated in accordance with CEQA is the no project or no program alternative. The no program alternative means that no components of the proposed Comprehensive Plastics Reduction Program would be approved and implemented by the city. The program EIR will also evaluate the cumulative impacts of the proposed program in conjunction with other past, existing, or planned projects or programs within the City of LA and surrounding areas. The focus of the cumulative impacts analysis is to identify the potential impacts of the program that might not be significant when considered alone, but that might contribute to a significant impact when viewed in conjunction with other projects. This slide summarizes the CEQA process for the proposed program. The first step in the CEQA process was the publication of the NOP on May 1st, which started the public scoping period that we are in now. After this scoping period ends on May 30th, we will review all of the comments received and use them to assist us in the analysis of potential impacts of the Comprehensive Plastics Reduction Program in the draft program EIR. When the draft program EIR is completed, we will publish a notice of availability indicating that the draft program EIR is available for public review. This subsequent comment period is your opportunity to provide feedback on the analyses in the program EIR. We'll have another public meeting during this time where we will present the analyses and findings of the environmental review. After that comment period is completed, we will review all comments received and prepare responses to each comment. We will also revise the program EIR as necessary to provide the clarification needed based on the comments. LASAN will then present the final program EIR to the LA City Council, who will vote whether or not to certify the program EIR. This entire CEQA process is scheduled to finish in the fall of 2024. As we've been discussing, the Comprehensive Plastics Reduction Program and the Environmental Impact Analysis are both currently being considered by LASAN. Now, during the scoping period is a great time for you to provide your input to help guide program development and environmental analysis. Let me tell you how to do it. We have 3 ways for you to provide us with your input and comments. Choose the one that works best for you. I like the first one. This is a link to a form that walks you through the comment process. You can type in your relevant information and your comment, and you're done. You can also access the form by scanning the QR code on this slide. We also accept mail. This is the address to mail us your comment and input. Email is also easy. You can send your comment input directly to me. If you provide an email comment, please put in the subject line, Comprehensive Plastics Reduction, PEIR. Also, please put your name and physical address in the body of the email. These 2 things make sure your email doesn't get lost and that we can send you updates on the plastics program. Program materials and this information on how to provide comments are also available on the LASAN website. So take your pick. We are accepting comments throughout the month of May. Thank you for joining us today. This is an important program for the city, and we need your input and your participation now and in the future. We will keep you apprised as we have documents for you to review and further opportunities for direct input. Thanks again.